Good evening and welcome to the Hat Trick podcast. It's me, myself, Alex Wood, and the usual man to my left, Mr. Adam Swindles.
Hi, good evening.
Mr. Tom Rogers is not with us as he's not fully recovered from pre-season and he's not been past fit enough to play as he skived a couple of training sessions. So the plan for this afternoon is we are going to discuss the preview of the EFL season, which starts on Friday the 2nd of August. We'll also discuss the rest of the Championship, League One, and we'll go to Mr. Adam Swindles for his League of League Two, and we'll discuss all of the stuff in League Two. We'll also talk about where we think everyone will finish in the divisions with our Championship, League One, and League Two table that we all devised together. All devised. Adam did most of the work on that one. We'll finally discuss the rest of the transfer saga with Pepe finally going to Arsenal, Dybala hopefully coming to Manchester, and more Gareth Bale shenanigans than anyone can hit a golf club at. We'll also have a look at the Premier League season starting, and we'll discuss the plans for Season 2 of the Hat Trick podcast, which we are finally starting, aren't we, Adam?
Yes, looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Season 2 is upon us. Right, so let's just actually jump in. Tomorrow is the Sky Bet Championship opener, Luton Town, Middlesbrough. How weird is that?
It's a strange one, especially opening up with a promoted team. It's normally one of the big boys from the Premier League that's on first, but interesting matchup.
It really will be, because Luton haven't really advanced their squad that much compared to what they went up with. They've bought a few players here and there, but not really gone up. Is that? Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, they've made a few cute signings. I wouldn't say anything major that'll shake the heads of other Championship teams. But like I say, Middlesbrough are disappointed they didn't manage to make the playoffs last year, and then bringing in Jonathan Woodgate this year to manage the team, it'll be interesting to see how they get on as well.
Because they're in exactly the same boat as Luton. They haven't spent a lot of money either.
No, definitely not.
So it'll be a very interesting one to start with, especially. That's a 7:45 kickoff on Sky Sports Football and Sky Sports Main Event. We're not sponsored by Sky Sports, unfortunately. So we'll move on to the Saturday. There were about a dozen 3:00 games across all of the leagues, and of course there is a 5:30 game as well. I'll run through the full ones first, but I'll start with a couple of the key ones that I think are really interesting for the first week. Is first of all, we've got Barnsley-Fulham, where Barnsley are hosting Fulham at 3:00. I think that's a very interesting game to start off with.
Yeah, me too.
They've done that with Barnsley being a newly promoted side, and obviously Fulham getting relegated in such fashion and being one of the favourites for the league. I think that's an interesting game there. And then you've also got Lincoln City and Accrington Stanley as well. I think that's
Lincoln coming up, and they've made a very few good signings and rumoured to be getting Tyler Walker on loan from Nottingham Forest. So, and Accrington side who have not got much money either. So they'll be. I think they'll have a struggle this season, Accrington. So another interesting game.
Absolutely. And then the other one that's caught my eye as well, simply because of what's occurred recently, is Portsmouth-Shrewsbury. Now, last season Shrewsbury had a decent home defensive record, and Portsmouth were very good away, but Portsmouth have just loaned out their top goal scorer to Wigan. So
it's not gone as a good time, but they brought in Marquis from Doncaster, their top scorers, so that might be enough to balance it out. They're very dangerous at this level.
Portsmouth?
Yeah, Portsmouth, John Marquis from Doncaster, they've signed a striker.
Absolutely. Also, the early kickoff on Saturday is always an interesting one, and that, for some strange reason, is Salford City versus Stevenage.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it strange.
Well, no, of course, I've just figured out who owns Salford. Of course, it's the class of '92, and they're sponsored by Sky Sports, so of course they're going to be. They're sponsored, of course, by Super 6, Salford City, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
that's the reason why.
Yeah, there we are. I wouldn't be surprised if any time that they have a chance to, they'll be put on television this year to show, oh look, we do show League Two games.
No doubt.
Absolutely. Right, so I'll go through a full rundown. In the Championship, we'll start with them. We'll go through all of the weekend fixtures and just have a little bit of a chat about each one of them. Obviously, we've said Barnsley, Fulham. There, I expect Fulham to get 3 points there, no matter what it is. We need to see them flex on another opponent, especially with the acquisition of Anthony Knockaert. Their front three is disgustingly dangerous.
Yeah, it's huge, that signing for Knockaert. A few Brighton fans disappointed he left.
Of course, he was one of their best players, in my opinion. Last season, he had an ACL tear, which obviously changes you and makes you different. But if you imagine that Fulham's front three now, it isn't. It's just, if they don't win the league, in my opinion, then something has gone very, very wrong. You've got Blackburn Rovers, Charlton Athletic, which to me has a draw written all over it.
Yeah, me too. It's not, not one of the fixtures that jumps off the screen at you, and you think this could be an interesting game. It's one team who have still under poor ownership in terms of Blackburn, and Charlton as well, who is not a fan favourite for the owners.
Yeah. Charlton have not spent any money. They've recruited free signings and stuff like that this summer. Blackburn have spent very little money because their owners are tight and weird. Blackburn in my opinion, they need a better season this season, because there was only two teams in the entirety of the Championship that could not go for playoffs or relegation, and it was Blackburn and Hull. So they officially reached irrelevancy in a league where it's impossible to be irrelevant. Yeah,
so they need something exciting to happen this season.
Absolutely.
Bradley Lack again, he'll be their main player.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully Adam Armstrong can actually pick up and start scoring goals like he did a couple of years ago for them.
Yeah. His career's at a bit of a standstill now, so hopefully he can kick-start it.
Absolutely. Then we have Brentford, Birmingham City. Birmingham are a bit of a weird one. I don't really know where they're at, because nobody's paid any attention to them whatsoever. They're just a very strange team.
Yeah, but on the flip side, Brentford, one of the teams rumoured to be around the playoffs area. I don't see it myself, but they could easily surprise a few wins, be in that top six.
Well, we didn't see Sheffield United or Norwich getting promoted last season, and look what happened.
Yeah, anything could happen in this league. It's balmy.
We also have two-team relegation dogfight already between Preston North End and Millwall.
Yeah, another game. Obviously, them signing one of Derby's top strikers, David Nugent. I've been full of praise for him from the start. Tom, not so much. Be interesting to see how he does back at Preston, one of the teams he was at previously, and he says he's glad to be back.
Has he gone with any of the pre-season tropes, and he feels like a new man? He feels 10 years younger. He's not.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But it all counts on match day and see if he's a new man on the pitch.
Absolutely. Another two teams where it'll be interesting to see where they're at, especially with Sheffield Wednesday. They've obviously got a new manager, but everything is gone chaotic at Sheffield Wednesday since Steve Bruce left for Newcastle, and Reading, who nearly got relegated but didn't. So they're looking to very much kick on, and under Steve Bruce, Sheffield Wednesday looked like they could maybe make playoffs.
Yeah, it was very touch and go. Maybe if they'd brought him in sooner, then they, could well have done. Reading, on the other hand, another poor season predicted for them. Relegation seems likely this season. Yeah.
If other teams don't struggle, they need to pick up points against teams around them, I think, for them to even have a shout at staying up. And then we have Stoke City versus QPR. Stoke are expected to surprise a lot more people this season and go, oh yeah, Stoke are actually relevant again. I don't see it myself. I think they're down for another mid-table season because I don't think they've got any class going forward.
Yeah, I don't see them finishing in the top 6. I think a better season improves football, especially the fans. Hopefully Nathan James can keep his job this season, unlike Gary Rowett last season.
Yeah.
QPR, I'd say similar to Stoke. I don't see them, near the bottom end, but I don't see them near the top either.
Yeah, I disagree. I think QPR might get relegated this season.
I mean, it's possible. The bottom end's very hard to predict. I'd say it's a much stronger league this year round, but it's so tight at the bottom with the teams. They're very average.
Then we'll have a look again at a new look Swansea City since Graham Potter decided to leave for Brighton, and they signed the under-17 England coach.
Yeah, very interesting to see that one.
Yeah. And Hull obviously are just Hull. They're just irrelevancy. They haven't been changed to Hull Tigers yet, so it's always a win.
Yeah, still positive at the minute, no name change.
Absolutely. Then we have Wigan Cardiff, that is at the DW Stadium. Wigan have had obviously a busy summer, as I just said, signing the top goal scorer of Portsmouth there. And yeah, hopefully they'll be able to push on because they haven't filled that gap since Will Grigg left for Sunderland.
No, that was a key signing. They needed that because looking at the players they had, goals were seriously lacking.
And obviously Cardiff will be looking to bounce straight back into the Premier League in what I believe is Neil Warnock's final season in football.
Yeah, you never know with Neil Warnock what he's going to do, especially entertaining. I think he might have mentioned it would have been his last season previously, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe if he gets into the Premier League this time around, he might have one final crack.
I think Cardiff are very interesting as well because they sold one of their strikers. One of their main strikers that they bought when they were in the Premier League, Zahore. They sold him this summer. So I'm a little bit confused about what they're going to do up top. Are they just going to switch one of their wingers that was very, very good out wide to go up top? Or what do you think Cardiff are going to
do? They're still going to be looking at Gary Medina and Bobby Reid, who were up top. Gary Medina is one of those players who can, if he's on his own, he can hold the ball up well and bring in wingers like Nathaniel Mendes-Lang into play, and Bobby Reid's more of a running in behind, trying to get on the end of loose balls and put it in the net. So I'd say you've got rid of one of the main strikers, but I feel they'll still be strong up top.
Are they going to change to a more counter-attacking style of football, you think?
Possibly. They've still got a strong defence with fullbacks who will go up the pitch, so there's pace there to go up on the counter and then drop back if they need to.
Yeah. And then we've got Slaven Bilic's West Bromwich Albion, hosted by Nottingham Forest, which is just Nottingham Forest. Obviously, in the summer they got rid of both Roy Keane and Martin O'Neill, so new changes at Nottingham Forest as well, and new changes at West Brom. So Forest will be looking to push on into the playoffs, and obviously West Brom will also be looking for that automatic promotion spot.
Yeah, it's a strange one with Nottingham Forest, especially with getting rid of O'Neill and then replacing him 10 minutes later, as you say. Normally a mediocre side, Nottingham Forest in the Championship, not a lot seems to go on, but they never seem in danger of going down.
I love it because there's always a little bit of bias from Adam, from where he lives. The fact that he lives near Stoke, the fact that they all hate Nottingham Forest around there. Stoke and Derby both dislike Forest very strongly, and it makes me laugh quite a lot. It really does. On Sunday we've got a late kick-off, which is Bristol City Leeds United, which sounds a lot more like it should have been the Friday kick-off game.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably that's the game of the Championship. I think the opening weekend. I'd say both Leeds and Bristol City are tipped to finish in the top 6. Leeds, the Howard Costa signing is, I think, very huge in terms of creativity, which they had. It was just maybe not enough in certain games. Certain players having inconsistencies up top in certain games.
Well, the fact that they lost Calvin Phillips, who was their main creativity network in Leeds' team, Bielsa's only had him for 15 games the entirety of Bielsa's reign because he's been out with injuries so much. So he's unreliable in that sense. But the times that Bielsa has had him in the team, Calvin Phillips has been doing absolutely a lot for Leeds. He's been carrying him on his back. He's been assisting, scoring goals. So Helder Costa, if he can fill that role, will be a main utility man for them. And then, obviously, on the Monday night, we've got Huddersfield Town hosting Derby County, which I think will be very, very interesting, obviously, with it being Cuckoo's first game, and obviously Huddersfield Town keeping their manager as well. It'll be their first game in back in the Championship. They haven't made a lot of signings of Huddersfield. They've shipped a couple of players out to newly promoted teams, like Billing, and they also got rid of one of their keepers. They also got rid of Lossell as well towards the end of last season. So it'll be very, very interesting for Huddersfield where they're at, because it's always interesting when newly promoted sides go down to see where they are, especially after the terrible season they had in the Premier League last season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if they bounce back or continue to decline. In terms of Derby, they're missing their two major loan players that they had last year from Mason Mount and Harry Wilson.
Yeah.
So who were two huge creative players in the front foot. So let's see if they're still lacking there. But I'd say maybe just miss out on the playoffs. A worse season than last year.
Tom would also kill us if we didn't mention Tomori as well.
Yeah,
their centre-back rock that they used in almost every game last season. He would murder us if we didn't mention Tomori. So we'll mention Tomori and the fact that he's not a Derby anymore. He's gone back to Chelsea and will probably go out on loan again. So yeah, there's that. We will the Championship table that, as I said in the preview of the show, me, Adam, and Tom previously. I'll do this after we've recapped every single game that's going to be played in there. We all put down our predictions for where each team in the Championship would finish. We then accumulated them, or where I say we, Adam then accumulated them in a spreadsheet, because I call him Moneyball because he is like Mr. Moneyball, and then he put them averaged out where they would finish. Isn't that right, Adam?
Yeah, pretty much. It wasn't too hard, to be fair. A few similar clubs in similar positions, so it didn't take me as long as I thought it would, and I think they're fairly accurate tables.
I would believe so. I think we've done a good job at bigging ourselves up and patting ourselves on the back and doing this, that, and the other. So what I'll do is I'll go through the playoff teams, and then I'll read the mid-table, and then we'll talk about the relegation as well. So first of all, we have, as I've already said, I expect, and what a lot of people expect, we have Fulham winning the league, which is Fulham winning the Championship, of course, and we have West Brom in the second automatic spot.
Yeah, I think there's still two strong teams from last season. Obviously not the seasons they wanted, but in terms of Fulham coming back down, there is still, as you mentioned before, the top three that they've got on the pitch should be too much for this level. And again, West Brom should improve on their position last season.
Even though they got rid of Jay Rodriguez to Burnley.
Yeah, even so, they brought in Romain Sawyers.
There we go. And then starting off in the third place, working our way down for the rest of the playoffs. Third, we have Leeds United. Fourth, we have Cardiff. Fifth, we have Bristol City. And sixth, we have Huddersfield.
Yeah, again, I think that's fairly accurate to what should happen. Leeds, again, I don't see them no way finishing outside the top six with the squad they've got. Same with Bristol City. It's just possibly Huddersfield is the only team that, may stall this season in terms of getting into the top six, but that's where we've put them anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where you put Huddersfield, but I put them fifth because I believe that they've got a stronger squad than the Championship requires of them, especially in defence. But I disagreed with you guys about West Brom and Leeds. I thought they should have been the other way around. I thought Leeds might get automatics this season.
It's going to be tight. I think it was like last time when it was either Leeds or Sheffield United, and then Leeds ended up faltering right at the end. I think it'll be another tight one again.
Yeah, and then Bristol City, as we've already mentioned, they're a very good team that could end up obviously in there, or if they don't choke on a couple of results, push all the way up through and maybe sneak into automatics.
Yeah, that could definitely happen. Especially, I like the pace of the team as well. Definitely a counter-attacking team that can get up the pitch quickly and score goals.
And then the securing signing of Thomas Callas in defence as well from Chelsea is a very good signing for them.
Yeah, 100%. I think it was the defence that was lacking. If you looked at their team, the weakest position probably were at the back. So that needed to be shored up, and they've managed to achieve that.
Absolutely. 7th through to, or go 7th through to 18th, and then we'll discuss the bottom half of the table properly and condense that, because I think that's going to be a proper little scrap out. 7th we have Derby just missing out on the playoffs. I think that was Tom's wishful thinking that pushed them up, because I originally had them in 9th. I don't believe they'll do very well. I think they will miss the creativity of Mount and Wilson, like you said, and they haven't made any really good signings throughout the season. Yeah, they just signed a Charlton midfielder that was very solid last season. Yeah, he played for Charlton, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he did. He just played for Charlton last season, and it was very solid for them. And they've just signed him, so yeah, it'll be a midfield solid up for them. But I don't think they'll be as good as the teams above them. I think the teams above them just have so much more going forward.
Yeah, 100%. The teams, they're just, especially the teams in the Championship now who are going to be in the top 6, all have talented front men, whereas Derby lack.
Yeah, they don't. We in 8th we have Stoke. As both of us have already said, we expect Stoke to have an improved season, but not that final yard yet.
No, not yet. Yeah, just up front again, I'd say you've got the players who you'd think would do, but I don't think the creativity is there to support them.
9th we have Brentford. We've said that they have the possibility to go up. I just think that they're not quite there yet. I think they're a couple of years away from it properly challenging for playoffs.
Yeah, not the full article yet.
Yeah. Middlesbrough 10th. We've already said Middlesbrough probably boring. Swansea in 11th. Now I think Swansea will definitely suffer from the hatching and full lynching of their squad that they have, or they've had now, because of obviously Gary Potter leaving, and then obviously James leaving for Man United, and a couple of other players getting poached. 12th we have Hull, standard season for Hull. Sheffield Wednesday of 13th. Again, they're our championship teams. 14th we have Nottingham Forest, probably sacking their manager as well. 15th we have Preston North End. Yeah, that's fair. 16th we have Birmingham. 17th we have Blackburn. 18th we have QPR. 19th is Barnsley. Barnsley surviving, which I really do like. I like the fact that we had Barnsley surviving. 20th, also a newly promoted side in Luton surviving as well. And then 21st we have Millwall, also just scraping through and surviving. So the bottom 3 teams that are getting relegated are Charlton Athletic, Reading and Wigan.
Yeah, according to my prediction, I think I had Barnsley, Luton and Wigan going down, so a bit different. I think Tom had Luton fairly high compared to me, so that's why they're there. But I can definitely see why Charlton and Reading and Wigan would be down there, especially in the bottom 3.
Well, I had Charlton surviving, and I had QPR getting relegated, because I don't think I don't like them as a club. I think they're a very weird and shaky thing as themselves. I definitely have Wigan finishing bottom of the league. I don't think they're up for it at the moment.
No, not in terms of, as we said before, the top teams who have got the spark up top. I don't think Wigan possess that.
I don't think they possess the spark down the bottom either.
No, not even at the back or in midfield. I think it's just a really poor outfit at the minute, but who knows?
Yeah. So what it basically is there is we're gonna walk through the League One fixtures and then discuss League One a little bit. League One is both mine and Adam's not. We always call it the boring league because no one really knows anything. But League One this year is spicy, Adam.
It is, with the teams coming down and the few going up. It's going to be another exciting year in League One.
It's very spicy, especially with two teams starting on minus 15 points already. It's a spicy one. So we have AFC Wimbledon versus Rotherham. That's a 3:00 game. That should be a good game. Wimbledon finished the season strong. Wimbledon finished the season strong, and Rotherham did not finish the season strong. So we'll have to wait and see if they can both of them recapture their form. Blackpool, Bristol Rovers. Blackpool are one of the teams that I think will do very well this year. New owners, new ethos around the club. Let them start building themselves and try and push back up them leagues. But now,
yeah. I was just going to say I'm not sure I can see them going, towards the top end. I'd see them around the middle, but as you say, there's positivity around the place, so no reason why not.
Absolutely. Burton Albion, Ipswich. Now, Ipswich are one of the favourites of the league, if not the favourite of the league, because a lot of people don't think that they should have gone down in the first place, but they were terrible last season. So, yeah, they're the favourites for League One. I can see them doing a bit of business. Burton Albion are also a very good League One team, and were unlucky not to miss out on playoffs last season.
Yeah, unfortunate, but as we said earlier on, it was spicy last year, and it's really, all these teams really contesting for those 4 places in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. It's very, very hard. We'll discuss Bury Milton Keynes in a moment because there's a couple of things that we need to discuss about Bury. We have Coventry City, Southend, which it's Coventry, Southend. They're both going to be Coventry are going to be around about a mid-table club, and Southend will be a bottom if not mid-table club as well. So not really anything important there.
Yeah, well, I think according to my predictions, I think I had Southend very near the bottom, not quite going down. I think teams are a bit weaker than them. So I think I agree with you.
Absolutely. And we have Doncaster Rovers, Gillingham. Now Doncaster are pipped for playoffs this year, as they always are, because they run very well, especially with the acquisition of Darren Moore as well. They're one of the favourites to go up as well.
Yeah, unfortunate to lose their top striker from last season, John Marquis, to Portsmouth. Darren Moore said himself that he's looking for a replacement as soon as possible, so we'll see if anything happens there. Absolutely.
We then have a newly promoted team in Lincoln Accrington, as we've already discussed that. We discussed that game earlier. We've got Peterborough Fleetwood. Peterborough, one of the favourites to go up. Fleetwood, with Joey Barton suspension probably looming, or maybe a jail sentence looming.
Yeah, possibly. And I think he's on bail until October sometime, so we'll see what happens then.
Absolutely. We'll definitely keep on Joe Barton Fleetwood Watch. That's going to be a recurring segment on the show this year. Trust us all. There. We have Shrewsbury Town, Portsmouth. Portsmouth are again one of the favourites for the league. It's definitely theirs. Shrewsbury are a relevant team in that league, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've made a few good signings, to be fair, so I think they won't be, as close to the relegation zone as you were last season. Yeah. I'd say top half finish for them, but I don't think they'll quite squeeze into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Sunderland Oxford is actually a kind of tasty game. Oxford are a mid-table team and picked up a couple of points against Sunderland last season. I say a couple of points because a lot of people picked up only 2 points against Sunderland because they drew against everyone.
Yeah, kind of similar to Lincoln in League 2 last season, where they just kept drawing games, sorry.
Absolutely. Then we have a relegation-ish battle with Tranmere Rochdale. We both have, all of us have Tranmere Rochdale quite near the bottom of the league, so it'll be a good idea for them to pick up some points very early. We then have Wycombe Wanderers and Bolton. there as well, and then we'll start to discuss Bolton Wanderers and the fact that they're still on a -15. They're using trialists this season, and their staff of the club still haven't been paid from March.
No, it's a bit of a mess there. At least they've got the game on this weekend, unlike the Bury game.
Unlike the Bury game, which we'll get into. Since Bury, Milton Keynes Dons has been postponed because the EFL believes that Bury's ground at Giggs Lane is unsafe and unusable, although it's passed a EFL safety test. They also postponed the game for another reason, which was the fact that their high winding up court order was due and hadn't been paid, so they were not sure Bury would be an actual team, so they decided to postpone the game. When they postponed the game, a day later, their winding up order was dismissed in the High Court, so Bury don't actually earn any money and will be a team. Although half their team, because they were not getting paid by the owners, have left, so they are using a load of trialists. Their managers left, so they're with a new manager, and all of the coaching staff has left, so they're with all new coaching staff as well.
Yeah, so last season, obviously Bolton's was a few rumours going around it was unsafe, and I think they've fixed that for this coming up season. Obviously they're going to be playing, and then as we've just said, Bury this season. Don't think anything wrong with the ground at the minute. It's just all on the money side of things off the pitch, not being able to produce the evidence required by the EFL to make sure they can last, for a long period on the money they've got.
Yep, it's very sad because Bury are a very big team. Yeah, that's it. It's very sad. We'll run through our League One table. Adam, do you have it up in front of you?
Yeah, I do.
You can read it then, good sir, because I read the last one.
Okay, sure. So we'll go with the top two, the automatic promotion. So we've gone with Ipswich to win the league. As we said, that's what most people predict. I think yourself too predicted that.
Yeah, I did. I honestly think they will do. I think if Ipswich don't win the league, I think it will be very disappointing for them and for everyone around them, because they are not a League One team, in my opinion. They are a Championship team.
Yeah, I think I agree. I can see them going up. I didn't think they'd get automatic. I think they go up for the playoffs. And my pick for the winners of this league is in second place, according to all us three. That's Portsmouth.
Yeah. Portsmouth have a bottle about them, though, mate. They really do. They have a bottle about them. They find a way to bottle leagues and bottle victories and bottle things like that. They just do. It's Portsmouth. They find a way to single-handedly make sure they bottle it. It's Portsmouth.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. So then we can go through the playoff positions. So that's Sunderland in third, Peterborough in fourth, Rotherham fifth, and Doncaster sixth. So we all feel that Sunderland may miss out on the automatics.
Yes, because again, it's Sunderland.
Yeah, there's quite a few teams that you've listed down here got a bit of bottle to them.
Yeah,
or lack of bottle.
Yeah, I'm a little bit biased as a Newcastle United fan, of course, but Sunderland's they haven't improved at all. Yes, they've shifted more players off their wage bill, which is exactly what they needed to do. Lee Cattermole was earning £60,000 a week. They've finally got rid of him.
Yeah, he looks like he's a good servant to the club, but finally leaving.
Absolutely, and it's a mess down in Sunderland. They need to. I don't know if they'll escape this season. They really just need to fix themselves out.
So then we can move on to Peterborough in fourth. New goalkeeper and Christy Pinn from Exeter shored up the centre backs role with Frankie Kent, and then bringing in Mo Isa from Cheltenham, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, good signings that they've made.
Absolutely, definitely very good signings. In fifth was Rotherham.
Yeah, another team who've come down from the Championship.
Yep.
One of those yo-yo teams.
Absolutely, yeah. They just need to. It's a very difficult thing with it because Burnley suffered it a couple of years ago from the Premier League to the Championship and doing this, that, and the other. Newcastle are guilty of it as well, where we're a Premier League / Championship team as well. Rotherham are just one of them teams, yeah. They're just one of them teams.
Yeah, and Yorkshire rivals we put in 6th position. That's Doncaster Rovers.
Yeah. I think Darren Moore is going to do very, very, very well at Doncaster.
Yeah, one of those teams, like we previously said, that they lost when we were talking about their fixing, lost their key marksman in John Marquis, so hopefully they can bring it back up in.
Absolutely. I believe that if you're going to look at that, I think it depends on how they finish the season. I think Doncaster will be one of the favourites in that playoff group.
Yeah, definitely, with the strength and depth I feel they have, especially with the loanees that they've brought in. So we can move on now from the playoffs. We'll go through the midfield, who we feel will miss out on promotion and miss out on relegation. So we've got in 7th position, that's Burton Albion, who, like we've said, disappointing last season not to make the playoffs, but we feel the same again this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coventry 8th, who I feel regarding their whole situation with playing in Birmingham around this season might be enough to shake them into not making the playoffs, but we feel they've still got a strong squad.
Yeah, absolutely. The Coventry situation, I believe it'll get sorted this season, and they'll be back playing in Coventry. But it's going to be a tough one for everyone.
Yeah, it's not a brilliant situation for having to move out of your own home city to go and watch your team play. 9th, MK Dons, another promoted team, who, with the squad that they've got and the money they've got behind them, no reason why they can't finish a top half as we predicted.
Absolutely. Yeah, MK Dons are a weird one because, especially with having Wimbledon in their league this year as well, it's going to be some feisty fixtures.
Yeah, especially having them in the cup as well in the first round. So that's 4 games guaranteed at least. Sorry, 3 games guaranteed at least.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so then we can move on. We'll go quickly through these. Blackpool 10th, who mentioned earlier, new ownership. Lincoln 11th, promoted team. Fleetwood 12th, Oxford 13th, Shrewsbury 14th, Bristol Rovers 15th, Wimbledon 16th, Southend 17th, who we said earlier will just miss out on relegation.
Yep.
Wickham 18th will be a terrific result for them to stay up in terms of the lack of money they have and the signings they made. Gillingham 19th and Tranmere 20th, just missing out on the last relegation place. So in the relegation places, sorry to say, Rochdale, Accrington, Bury and Bolton. Obviously Bury and Bolton are minus 12 points.
Yeah, with Bury as well, if they do not get this ground situation sorted, they might find themselves into administration and get another minus 12 points.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the ruling works if they get another minus 12 points. Maybe tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the EFL basically said this is, it's not administration, but it's, pretty much as bad as administration, so we'll give you these 12 points now, and I don't think we'll add any more if the situation gets worse.
Okay, well, that would be a heaven sent for all Bury fans, but yeah, I can't see. I don't even know if Bolton will be a club by the end of it, mate. To be honest with you, I really don't. So with Bury, they will survive. Their fans are too stubborn not to. Their fans are stubborn.
I think Bolton are in a much better place than Bury. Obviously, they've been able to provide evidence there. They can provide income long term. Obviously, the players, still need to be paid fully. But obviously, I'd say Bury definitely in more danger of possibly going into liquidation.
Yeah. Hopefully neither of them too. Accrington Stanley, in my opinion, they are a yo-yo team of League One and League Two.
Yeah, they're going to struggle this season with the money they've got. It's a well-run club with the lack of funds they have, but compared to the rest of the league, I can't see them competing.
Yep. And then obviously Rochdale, as we covered, it's Rochdale. Be good if they stay up.
Yeah, it's going to be close between Rochdale and teams like Tranmere, Gillingham, and Wickham. They brought in some loan signings. Particularly that's where normally they thrive with picking gems out. But again, it's just going to be so tight, I think, between Rochdale and the rest of the league.
Absolutely. So that's League One. League One might be spicy this year, guys. We're not going to call it the boring league anymore, everybody. So all you League One fans that listen, we're sorry already. We'll move on to League Two. League Two, on the Saturday the 3rd of August, there is an early kick-off game, as we already mentioned, with Salford and Stevenage, 12:30. That will be obviously on the Sky Sports Football and the Sky Sports main event, because the Class of 92 on Salford, and Salford is sponsored by Super 6.
Yeah, so no surprise that they're on TV, as we've already mentioned.
Yeah. And then we have Bradford-Cambridge United, which will be a very good game. Bradford obviously coming down into League 2, and Cambridge barely surviving.
Yeah, but you should see Bradford win all over in this game. I'd be surprised if it was anything else.
Yep. Carlisle or Crawley, for me that's got a draw written all over it.
Yeah, Carlisle, the money hasn't been pumped into the club as maybe the fans would like. And Crawley, again, another well-run club for the funds they have. Not been run poorly, but again, I'd say the squad's pretty balanced, so yeah, a draw.
Yep. Then we have Colchester Port Vale. Obviously, Vale are winning that.
I'll take a draw now. I'll take a 0-0 scrappy draw now. This is a game I'm not particularly looking forward to. I'd have preferred a game I could possibly travel to, but Essex is too far. So, yeah, like I said, at a draw, I'll take that.
Absolutely. We have Crewe Alexandra versus Plymouth Argyle. Now, Plymouth are one of the favourites for the league, and Crewe are a mid to lower table team. So I would say Plymouth, this is written all over it.
Yeah, Crewe taking out 7 players and only bringing in 2. So I think a few fans would see that as negative, and then compare that to Plymouth, the quality that they brought in. Especially should see Plymouth winning this game.
Absolutely. And then we have Exeter Macclesfield Town. Now, Macclesfield last season, what they did was a miracle with what they've got in terms of that. But to say that it got even worse at Macclesfield would be an understatement, isn't that right?
Yeah, dire straits with the money problems that they've got, not being able to pay last season's squad, them going, them joining up and writing a statement from them demanding payment, and it doesn't bode well for the future of the club. Exeter, on the other hand, fan-owned, they've got not the funds that some of the others do, but the squads that they can produce should be Exeter winning this game.
And then we have the Nobel Peace Prize winning Forest Green Rovers hosting Oldham Athletic. Now, go
on.
I was going to say Oldham are another team that are in absolute dire straits. Their owner hates them.
Yeah, I think the company who owns one of the stands basically said, right, we'll have no fans in this area, which is a bit of a funny one. In terms of Oldham, they've signed quite a few players today, so lucky we did it today so we could talk about them. But I'd still expect Forest Green to win. In terms of these Oldham players that they brought in, wouldn't have had a full pre-season, and they're expected to play in like 3 days' time.
Yeah, it's not on. We then have Leyton Orient, who obviously came up last season with Salford, and they're hosting Cheltenham Town, which would be nice for Leyton Orient really, because I like them. And then Cheltenham, they're a mid to lower table table team as well as Leyton Orient, so that should be a good game.
Yeah, Leyton Orient a very likeable team, and then Cheltenham, as you say, they should be. I don't see them getting into the top half of the table, so I think a tight contested game this one.
Why do you think Leyton Orient are a likeable team? I don't. Is it because they beat Salford when everyone was like, "Oh, Salford are just going to walk the league," and Leyton Orient came and actually gave us something different?
I think it was just how they exited the league with the financial troubles that they had, and the owner not caring. I won't mention his name due to the fact that I don't think Leyton Orient fans need reminding of it. But now they're back, and obviously they tried it lost to Justin Edinburgh, where I think they're going to have a special ceremony before kick-off to celebrate his life, which is going to be special to see. So I think the football match after the game should be one to enjoy.
Be an emotional one, really.
Yeah, 100%. Especially, it's good to see that they're at home as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even if they were away, I think the league might have tried to change it. Just for the occasion, for obviously Justin Edinburgh there. Moving on from that sad one, we've got an even sadder one, which is Morecambe. They're terrible. And then we've got Grimsby, who are also not very good.
Yeah, Morecambe always favourites to go down. And you can see why with the funds that they have compared to the rest. I've said that quite a few times, but it's true. I can't think of another way to put it. And then Grimsby, one of those teams that have been playing a lot higher, and they had a stretch playing in non-league for a while, but they're back in the Football League. But I don't see this game in particular, setting off any fireworks. Could be a dull affair, this.
Yeah. Then we have Newport County versus Mansfield. And now Mansfield are also one of the favourites to go up, and Newport they're just Newport. They're not really anything good. They're not really anything bad. They're a good team. They're an okay team, but they're not going to set anybody alight this season, I don't think.
Yeah, a surprise season last year, with managing to reach the playoffs. It's got to be all down to the work of Michael Flynn, the manager, who's put them in a position to always get promotion, being in the final last year. In terms of Mansfield, nothing but promotion is going to be good enough for them this year, according to their owners. So I feel if he doesn't get them promoted this year, another manager sacking. They've gone with a different approach this year. Normally, the merry-go-round of managers, they've gone with their under-21 manager, I believe.
Okay. Try and promote within and all that. Yeah, that makes sense to a normal club and all that. But we know Newport, we know Mansfield, aren't a normal club. We'll round off the last two because neither of them are really that great. We've got Northampton Town and Walsall. That would be just a normal, boring draw. We've got Scunthorpe, who are one of the favourites to go up. They're going to host Swindon, who aren't one of the favourites to go up there. Maybe a playoff pusher if they can get their act together. And that's the rest of them, really.
Yeah, that's touching a point on Northampton. They're quite favourites with the bookies to be at least in the playoffs this year with the signings they've made a huge reshuffle in terms of quality that they've got. 11 signings, especially Chris Lyons, who I've liked for many years, midfielder who's been played in League One for most of his career. So I'll see them somewhere in the playoffs this year.
Adam may see them somewhere in the playoffs, but us collectively, we did not. Now, obviously, take this League Two table thing with a pinch of salt, because me and Tom, we're very clueless about League Two, especially me. I'll hold my hand up and say, yes, I looked at it, I looked through the squads, I looked through the teams, and I went, yes, this will do. And Adam did a proper methodical approach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read our League Two table, and then Adam, who actually supports a team who is in League Two, is going to read his League Two table, and we'll see the very difference of where two rookies who have no experience with League Two have actually put people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's a really good one. So, in our League Two table, collectively with me and Tom, the idiots, joining it, we have in the automatic spots, which I believe is 3 in League Two.
It is 3. You're learning quick.
I'm learning quickly. 3 in League Two. In the automatic spots, we have Plymouth, we have Mansfield, and we have Scunthorpe. In that order, we have Plymouth taking the title, Mansfield gaining automatics, and Scunthorpe sealing the last one. Now,
Yeah, it's kind of similar to mine. I can run you through that now. My top 3. I've gone with Bradford, Plymouth, and Mansfield. So basically, I'd say similar teams, other than Scunthorpe obviously not being there. I think they'll struggle this season, Scunthorpe, even though the bookies expect them to be higher.
So you've got Bradford winning the league.
Bradford winning the league, Plymouth second, and Mansfield third.
Wow. God.
Yeah, I just think the signings they've made is they took Sam Hornby, Port Vale's keeper. He was too good to sit on the bench pretty much, so I don't think there'll be any trouble in terms of conceding goals and bringing in James Vaughan to put them in the other end. I think it's a well-balanced team that should do well.
Okay. Well, me and Tom must be idiots then, because we put Bradford 4th in our collective table. So me and Tom must have put them very far down for them to be 4th in there.
Yeah.
Averaging out. It's okay. No, 5th we have Exeter, 6th we have Salford, and 7th we have Colchester. So, yeah.
Yeah, so how that relates to mine, Northampton 4th, Salford 5th, Colchester 6th, and Forest Green Rovers in 7th.
Oh my god. Oh god. Northampton fans, I'm sorry. You're down in 12th, so Tom might have had you getting relegated, because I definitely didn't.
I think Northampton are really, low on Tom's table. We'll come to this later in a minute, but I think Tom had Carlisle in the playoffs. I had them way down on my table. So, varying views.
Varying views, indeed. Speaking of Forest Green Rovers, we have them sitting outside of the playoffs in 8th. I think they're just about there, but another year maybe they might be able to make playoffs and do all that lot. 9th we have Newport, 10th we have Swindon, 11th we have Walsall, and 12th we have Northampton. I'll leave it there so we can round up a couple of them. From 8th to 12th, Adam, give us your rundown, see where we were all screwed up.
Sure, so 8th Walsall, 9th Newport, 10th Scunthorpe, 11th Swindon, and 12th Exeter. So not too different.
Wow, we really rated Scunthorpe, and you really do not rate Scunthorpe.
No, there's all the bookies were having all 4 relegated teams at least in the top 7, and I just didn't see it. I picked out the strongest 3, I believe, and I don't see all the promoted teams. All the relegated teams getting a chance to get back straight away.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now here's the rest of it running down until the Actually, we'll go from, we'll go from 13th to 20th, and then we'll talk about the bottom there. 13th we have Leyton Orient, 14th we've got Stevenage, 15th is Carlisle, 16th is Crewe, 17th is Port Vale, nowhere near the drop zone this season, Adam. 18th we've got Cambridge United, 19th we have Cheltenham, and 20th we have Grimsby Town.
Okay, so mine 13th Leyton Orient, 14th Port Vale, 15th Stevenage, 16th Grimsby, 17th Carlisle, 18th Crewe, 19th Cheltenham, and 20th Crawley Town.
See, no, that's pretty similar. I believe that's pretty similar. I think we've done pretty kind of good job there. It's a pretty similar system there, and as we all know with League Two, it's somewhat ridiculous from like 12th to 22nd is like 6 points.
Yeah, it's always extremely tight between the bottom half of the league in terms of who's going to get relegated and who might make a late stretch to playoffs.
Absolutely. And then, talking about this relegation and around the relegation zone, we believe that Crawley Town and Oldham Athletic will finish 21st and 22nd, missing out on the 2 relegation spots. Adam, who did you have missing out on relegation this season?
I had Cambridge and Oldham, so I believe we've gone for the same bottom 2 though in Morecambe and Macclesfield.
We definitely have. The order is Morecambe will finish second bottom and Macclesfield will finish dead last.
Yeah, the same with me.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what will happen. To be honest with you, this season in League Two is going to be, I think it will be a good one, but I'm not entirely sure.
It's definitely a stronger league than last year. Really, it was only, I'd say, Lincoln who were head and shoulders above every team.
Yeah.
Whereas now you've got your Bradford, your Plymouth, Mansfield, who have strengthened massively, Salford, Northampton. So I think there's at least 5 teams there who are going to be a few big score lines, I expect, this year.
Absolutely. Now, there's your EFL update. Watch it. We will review it next week if we decide we're able to do a pod, which we will be, because we're going to do a Premier League recap, and we will also review the first week of the EFL and see if there was any big storylines for you guys. Do not worry about it. It's definitely going to happen. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a few final things, and then I'll let Adam get off and go eat his tea, and I will edit and upload the podcast. So, the few final things is Pepe from the French league in obviously France has finally signed for Arsenal.
Yeah, huge. It was, I think it was pretty much a done deal for this entire week. It was just when Arsenal were going to announce it. It's just what they needed. I think they were struggling with Iwobi, who, no offence to him, I think he's still a decent player, but I think for Arsenal to go that next step, a player like Nicolas Pepe was someone who they needed. I don't think Alex Iwobi's a decent player. I never have. I never will do. I think Nicolas Pepe is a very good signing for them. He again, as we've just said, he adds something. Their front 3 now of Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang is up there with your Salah, Sané, and Firmino. I believe so. Anyway. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, if you're new to this, I don't know if you mentioned this before, but 3 of us and another mate have a FPL draft fantasy league for the Premier League. So how it works compared to normal fantasy leagues is you don't have all free range of all the players. It's basically there's one player, and you have to pick your 11, drafting them compared to the other players that you've got. The other managers that you've got. So there's only one Nicolas Pepe available, and we're all trying to get him. Yeah. Basically.
We definitely are. I'm going to sit there and allow you guys to have Nicolas Pepe this time, because I'm waiting for our next story, which is Pablo Dybala coming to Manchester United.
This would be huge for them. I mean, the last big money player was, I'd say, Pogba, and that hasn't worked out too well, although it seems like he's staying this season after rumours that he might be going to Madrid.
Yeah. I think if Manchester United do get Dybala, this is their extra yard. This is the extra mile. But, in my opinion, they need to sell some people. They need to offload some dead weight if they're going to be... If he's going to be coming to Manchester United, they need to be getting rid of the Nemanja Matic's, your Matters. Matters a great player, and so is Matic, but they need to be offloading these kind of players. They cannot keep having these and give all of them game time. Dybala, if he comes to Manchester United, is an untouchable player. That means that you already have 2 of your 11 and 2 of your midfield who are untouchable. With Marcus Rashford just signing a huge new deal, he is also going to be untouchable. That's 3 players already that are untouchable players. De Gea is obviously untouchable as well. There's 4 out of 11. That's a third of your team that you cannot replace with anyone else.
Yeah, the players that they've got in and around the squad who are just not good enough for, let's say, Man United. They were arguably the biggest club in the world, and they need to be up there every single season. So the past few seasons haven't been good enough. So I agree with your point. The deadwood that they've got needs to be offloaded, and I'm surprised they haven't done that much of it already.
Yeah, we also have Tottenham, who have made some summer signings in Tanguy Ndombele from Lyon, who is basically a like for like of Moussa Sissoko, but Tanguy Ndombele can pass.
Yeah, and he's massive as well. You wouldn't want to bump into him on a Friday night in the street.
Absolutely not. The other breaking news from Spurs as well is that they've opened talks with Sporting Lisbon over a deal for Bruno Fernandes, who was a top target of Manchester United earlier on in the year, before they were offered Pablo Dybala, because if you get offered Pablo Dybala, you start talking to Pablo Dybala and drop everybody else.
Yeah, especially with a swap deal for Lukaku, especially. That's the sort of dead weight we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I think that would be a very good signing for them. It would also maybe mean that Eriksen might be leaving.
Possibly. He was rumoured that, he'd like to play somewhere else other than Tottenham, so I think it might be too late now, but, maybe January, it might be it's time to go. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. We also obviously have the Harry Maguire story of £8 million for his move to Manchester United from Leicester City, and yeah, I don't know if that would actually that one's going to happen. I don't think it will. I think it's just all talk and speculation, and then we'll discuss it again next summer.
Yeah, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I think straight away from when it was rumoured, I didn't think it was going to happen, because it was rumoured last year and nothing, came about, and it's just one of those things that newspapers like to rattle on about, and yeah, I can't see it happening this time.
Yep. The other one that newspapers are really rattling about in Italy is João Cancelo from Juventus, the right back. Obviously, Manchester City are back in talks with him. The last summer they were a major thing, and they offered £36 million plus Danilo, which was rejected by Juventus with a snap of their fingers. So they're back in talks with them. They sent a representative to Turin today to go speak to them about him.
Yeah, no surprise that Man City won him. I think he's one of the top right backs now in Europe. I can't see Juventus wanting to let him go, unless they get some serious cash. So at the minute, I don't think that one will go through.
The other one discussing Manchester City is the Leroy Sané saga.
Yeah, interesting one. Bayern Munich look very interested in him. There's still, ongoing talks. Last season, one of the, players who was rumoured to be unsettled there, in particular because of how many times Pep Guardiola had selected him, and he felt that he should be getting more first-team football.
Absolutely. And Bayern Munich, especially with Ian Robben and Frank Ribery retiring, he definitely would get that.
Fill the gap for him there, and hopefully he'll stay there their whole career. That's the kind of thing Bayern like to do, bring in a player and then let him retire at the club.
Yep, and also it's been an entire podcast and I haven't talked about Newcastle United yet, so let's talk about Alan Saint-Maximin, who is obviously a Nice wide midfielder, and Newcastle have all but signed him. The agreed fee has been done. They're just waiting for personal terms with Saint-Maximin himself before we announce the signing there. It is rumoured to be beginning 16 million and rising to 20 million with incentives. He is also rumoured to sign a 6-year contract, Adam. 6 years!
6 years.
6 years, he's 22. He'll be there until he's 28 if he lives out that entire contract, which he won't. He'll stay there 2 seasons and then go back to France. Telling you now. Right, as I've said before, we will be back hopefully next week if we can sort it with Mr. Adam Swindles and if Mr. Tom Rogers has fully shaken off his pre-season jitters. And we will preview the Premier League beginning. We'll also run through our Premier League table as well and tell you who's going to get relegated, who's winning the league, let's see, who's getting Europe, and who's a massive flop of the season. We'll also have a look at the EFL fixtures and make sure that they're all okay. And obviously we'll discuss our future a little bit more and try and sort out some more dates for you guys so that we always keep you up to date, because that's what we are. We're an up-to-date thing. So for me, that's a goodbye.
And for me, that's a goodbye.
All right. See you guys next week. Have a good rest of your days. Bye, Adam.
See ya.